Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Data Center Hawks EMEA focus for the data center industry. I have my colleague Luis Bravo. My name's David Sandars. I am Regional Director for EMEA for Data Center Hawk. And today we're going to have a fireside chat, if you like, about the construction side of the industry, what we're seeing from a trends perspective, and tackle the complexities of building in the EMEA region or rather building data centers in the EMEA region. So, Luis, I'm going to hand it over to you. What sort of trends are we seeing through the Southern European region and also the wider EMEA region from a construction perspective?
Yeah, sure, David. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode, and I'll be happy to answer that question, David. So we have seen that a lot of speculation in the market and a lot of planning speculation, not only in Southern Europe but the whole region, in the whole EMEA. But nobody is building actually, or nobody is under construction those sites speculatively. You have to have a tenant already for investors and companies to start building. And also, we have seen that reputation of these companies is very important to the final customers and for the tenants. Because at the end of the day, you are creating a long-term relationship between customer and provider, in which the customers have to trust in these providers, right? So a lot of speculation in the planning stages, not a lot of speculation on under construction sites, because again, we have seen that providers start building once they have a contract signed with a customer. David, in general terms, this is what I see.
Sure. So, just to sort of summarize that, where there are not many data center operators building speculatively ahead of the curve of demand, whereas sort of 10 to 15 years ago, the trend in the industry, I think globally, but certainly through the EMEA region, was to build capacity and have it available for customers to move into. On an immediate basis whenever they were ready. And it was only really sort of bigger scale projects that were addressed as kind of built to suit. But you're saying that now that trend has kind of been flipped on its head a bit?
That's right. That's right, David. Yeah, because if you take a look at the costs of building 15 years ago, 1 megawatt was maybe $10 million, right? And the deployments were a big deployment was of 100 kilowatts or 200 kilowatts, but now that's nothing. Now the deployments are from 2 megawatts, 4 megawatts, 20, or even 100 megawatts, or even more, right? So nobody's going to start building a 100 megawatt site or 1 gigawatt site until until you have secured a tenant, because it's just a lot of money what is in stake, David. I don't know what you think about this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the scale of the facilities definitely means that building like you say, 100 megawatts or a gigawatt campus
Yeah,
speculatively and waiting for enough customers to come along to fill it is a very risky business, and it obviously takes an awful lot of capital and hard work to build that data center of that scale. So if you're going to leave it empty for a while,
yeah,
waiting for customers to come along, it's a risky strategy, and everyone involved from the operations team, the data center, through to the investors are probably not going to agree with wanting to follow that strategy. So
yeah.
what we're seeing in the European market, certainly, and also further afield in the Middle East market, is companies waiting to secure a client. Quite often, at the moment, those companies, those data center operators, have very large plots of land and very large um,
That's right.
power capacities on those land on that land rather, and are waiting to build a data center specifically for either one or a small group of customers. But typically the trend at the moment is to build just for one company, just for
Yes.
one customer. Would you agree with that, Luis?
Yeah, I completely agree. We have seen several announcements of 400 megawatts, 1 gigawatt in particular here in Spain. Is just crazy what is going on in this 2 months of the year, almost 2 months of the year. But at the end of the day, the providers or the operators are not starting to build until they have secured a customer. And with these mega campuses, on the conversations that I've had with these operators, they confirmed me this, right? That they're waiting for one or maybe two customers to in order to full or to yes to full this site or to fully lease this site, and they will not start building until this happens. What I do want to comment, David, is that maybe we see these planning sites of 400 or 500 megawatts, but in the beginning, we see under construction or already built developments of by stages, right? So perhaps you see a planned development of 100 megawatts, but they start building maybe 10 or 15 megawatts, being more conservative and not building the whole thing in one stage, because maybe they have leased a part of the building, or they might not have leased that part of the building at all, but they start seeing demand on this site, and they start creating demand step by step, but not in one shot, in one long shot, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and important to note that the often an initial announcement of say 100 megawatt campus would actually, when it's realised and when it's fully built, would actually look more like a lot of smaller buildings divided up into lower capacity. So it's not you're not necessarily looking at 100 megawatts all in one building once the once the data center is fully commissioned and operational. Although one or two of them will actually look like that, but a lot more will be a campus of much smaller buildings. And in terms of sort of the difficulty of obtaining land and also power capacity for that land, what are we seeing in that area across Europe and the Middle East region, Luis?
Well, I think that not only in our regions, but all over the world, it's very hard to get power right now. I think we mentioned it in our last episode, David. The flat-fee markets are constrained, and now the Southern European markets are the ones that are booming, because there's power and line available. Also in the Nordics, in the Middle East, it's very interesting as well. But again, if there's something available, it's not that it's easy to get the power, right? You have to apply for the power. You have to wait a lot of time for that power to be available and allocated to you. So it's pretty much what is going on in the rest of the world. But EMEA is very particular, because you have to face with strong regulations from the local authorities. And for example, if an Equinix or a Digital Realty, who are all over the place, all over the European Union and the UK, if they want to build, they have to face different kinds of regulations and different kinds of countries, right? Because maybe Spain and France are kind of in the same latitude and very close from each other. There's a border only dividing them, but the regulations might be different. So power and land are difficult to get, and power is scarce right now.
Absolutely, and you touched on it there, the complexities of permitting as well, and again, data center operators typically have to play quite a long game in that respect. So they'll obtain the land, and then make an application for energy supply onto that parcel of land with the intention of developing quite well these days a very large scale building to operate as a data center. And then they have to go through the permitting system, which, as you said, is very different in each European country, and sometimes it's even different city to city in Europe. There's a lot of regulation, there's a lot of bureaucracy, and the process can take a very long time, and lots of elements in the planning stages in terms of the amount of water that data center would use, the amount of generators that would be placed on site, what that means for kind of noise pollution, and then all of a sudden these municipalities who manage the planning applications, if you have a new market, let's say somewhere like Milan, or Lisbon, or Madrid, all of a sudden these municipalities have a flood of data center applications, and they have to sort of sift through them and work out how many data centers we're actually going to have in this area, and how many generators does that mean we're going to have. How much access to water would all these facilities need? What impact is that going to have on the rest of the population? What are the environmental implications, the noise implications, all of those kind of things. And it all adds to the complexity of what on the face of it looks like a fairly straightforward thing to just build a data center.
I completely agree with you. And I think the ones that work at this industry, we work at this industry, have a homework to do with not only with the government, but also with the general public perception, right? Because if the public or the local population thinks that data centers are bad for the population because they might do a lot of noise, or they cause pollution, or this is the mindset of the local population, then the local authorities also will kind of stop the construction of new sites and new data centers. So I think all of the people that work in this industry have to change the mindset and of the people that don't know very well the industry, because the population and all the general public is using the data centers whether or not they know it or not. Every day, right? You use your mobile devices, you connect with your laptop, your phone every day that you connect, right? So it's important to get the perception of the public in a good way.
I mean, I completely agree with that. We had an example recently of I believe it was a mayor in a municipality in Spain who came out and declared that data centers don't generate enough for the local economy, and therefore they would not be favourable towards applications to develop data centers in that location or in that municipality. And it will be interesting to see if any other municipalities follow that lead or take the same approach. So far, I'm not aware of too many others who've actually deliberately come out and said no data centers in this region.
Yeah, I think that what that local authority said, it might be happening in other locations as well. And when I went to an event from the Spanish Data Center Association, somebody mentioned that data centers are like highways, right? You can compare them like highways. Why? Because you might have a lot of people working in those highways when building them, right? But when you already finish the highway, you might not have a lot of workers on them, but the local economy that those highways move daily it's huge, right? So I think that we have to educate the people, the general public again, but also the associations are doing a great job with the local authorities in order to build this trust between government and industry, so that they let new data centers and new players into those regions.
Yeah, again, I agree with that, and I think on the face of it, a data center, even a very large scale data center, the local authorities, they may be right. It doesn't employ thousands and thousands of people and create a lot of new jobs in the area, but data center operators tend to be very good community spirited in terms of trying to work with, in general, they tend to try and work with local suppliers and local supply chain to create work and new jobs for all of their vendors. And if you've got a data center sitting in a local region close to a big city, they will always try and use local suppliers to and the benefit is often seen in the supply chain rather than in the total number of jobs generated by a new data center operation in your region.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of knock-on effect, if you like.
Okay, so one thing that is impacting the data center industry in terms of construction, David, is the emerging of new technologies, right? What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something that's been pertinent to the data center industry for a number of years now. New technologies are constantly emerging for power distribution, power generation, diesel generators, and cooling systems as well. But particularly relevant at this time is the rapid emergence of immersion cooling and also liquid cooling or direct-to-chip liquid cooling. With CPUs and GPUs now predominant in the industry, the need to cool very, very high densities in cabinets is driving data center users and data center operators to adopt this new technology and do it very rapidly. And that is, we're seeing evidence in the industry that is providing design challenges and means that data center configurations have to be amended and changed and updated in order to integrate this new technology into the kind of the basis of design, if you like. And in
That's
some instances, we've even seen that data center construction projects have been slowed or even temporarily halted in order to reconfigure designs to integrate this new technology of direct liquid cooling into the construction program and make sure that it's going to fit with what the customer is expecting once the data center is operational. So that's just another example of how complex it can be to design and build a data center.
It's
not easy things to do. But emerging technologies and changing technologies can have an instant impact on these complex and often long-term projects.
Yeah, that's very interesting because, well, picking up what you were mentioning, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, the cabinet densities were 2 or 3 kilowatts per cabinet, right? And now we're seeing 20 kilowatt, then 100 kilowatt, and then we're seeing cabinets, or we have heard that cabinets might have 1 megawatt of density. So the technologies that in terms of cooling will be a challenge for sure for the data center operators, and it's going to be very interesting to see in the next years because technology is evolving year over year, and technology is changing, and the operators will have to adapt for new technologies in order to be more efficient.
Yeah, I think if we ever see a 1 megawatt cabinet, and people do talk about it, that's for sure. And if we ever see one operational in the data center, there'll be a queue of people down the street keen to get in and have a look at it and see what it actually looks like in
let's
practice.
put it in a museum.
Absolutely. But hey, Luis, it's been great talking again this afternoon. I think we've covered a few of the pertinent topics relating to designing and constructing a data center. I hope the people tuning into this have found it interesting and informative. And we look forward to the next edition of the Data Center Hawk EMEA podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, it was very fun to speak with you, David, and thank you all for watching.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.